Good morning. My name is Reverend Dr. Gary Simmons. I'm here with our co-minister, Reverend Dr. Jane, and we want to welcome you to Unity Spiritual Center, our unplugged Sunday service, doing things a little bit different on Sunday these days, as everybody is. We want to begin our time by sharing together our purpose statement. I'll speak it, and then we'll get into our opening affirmation. So we're here to transform lives and inspire people to make a positive difference in our world. And our opening affirmation, I'll say it once and invite you to speak it with me. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. Together, please. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. God the good. All right. Well, let's move into something that we can say without messing up. It's
yes.
yours. Your
News
turn.
you can use. So I just wanted to make sure everyone is aware of the various small groups that we have forming online, and to let you know that you are able to join one of them. And we have quite a variety here. Women's discussion group Sunday afternoons led by Pat Mertens. A conscious parenting group Sundays at 3:30 to 5 led by Lois Green Hansen with a different topic each week. And if Sunday afternoons are not working for you, if you want to connect with Lois and let her know when another time might be, when you could be a part of this if you're wanting to. She is willing to take a look at other alternatives if this time isn't going to work. Then on Mondays, 6:30, Al Koenigsfeld will be leading a Power of Eight meditation group. Then we have a book discussion Tuesday afternoons, and it's on this book, Active Hope, How to Face the Mess We're In Without Going Crazy, by Joanna Macy and Chris Johnstone. It's a very timely book and a wonderful one to be studying. That group needs a leader. And the idea is that maybe there would be chapter leaders each week, that a different person would take it on to lead the discussion each week on a different chapter. But we do need someone who can do the overall organization of it. You'll need to purchase the book, and we have 2 copies here at the bookstore, as well as getting it online on Amazon. We have Sunday message discussion groups, 2 of them. Wednesday morning, we do not yet have someone leading that. Wednesday evening one is led by Tara Weir. And then a men's discussion group, Wednesdays at 6:30. We need someone to lead that as well. And so once we have a leader, we can go ahead with the group. If you're interested in registering or purchasing the book from us, email Linda Tweedy, ltweedy@unityspokane.org, and let Linda know your name, the group you're interested in joining, if you're willing to lead a group or take a turn as a discussion leader, and if you want to purchase the book. These groups are capping at between 6 to 8, so be sure to register. They're pretty quickly filling up. But it's a wonderful way for us to stay connected with one another as a congregation during this time.
All right, another good way to stay connected is this afternoon, Amber is going to be facilitating a community member orientation experience on Zoom. And so if you're new to Unity Spiritual Center and want to find out more about belonging to our church, joining the church, join Amber today at 1 o'clock. You'll need to email her in order for her to be able to reply with her Zoom URL so that you can have access to the orientation. So once again, email Amber and let her know that you're interested in the community member orientation. That takes place today at 1 p.m.
And where would they get Amber's email address?
Well, it's listed right now on the screen.
Oh.
That's one spot. In addition to that, you can also find it in our e-news, that weekly update. So that's there as well. So we talked about not publishing her URL.
We did talk about that, yes.
Okay. All right. We also want to once again reaffirm our appreciation for the overwhelming generosity and support that has happened, especially during these times. You know, not being able to receive a love offering, we're now dependent upon people's initiative through providing us with the support that is needed and necessary. So we want to appreciate all of you in advance for participating this way, helping us out. It's appreciated. All right, we're going to get ready for our meditation experience. Sean and Tanya has done another awesome song in preparation for our meditation experience. So here we go.
My soul sings out My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you, my love. My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you, my love. My soul sings out to you. Your constant blessings flow to me like a mighty river to my heart. You are my life, you set me free. My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you, my love. My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you, my love. My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you, my love. My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you, my love. My soul sings out to you.
So as we begin our meditation experience, I'd like us to imagine all of us who are right now in this moment together, watching our live streaming, being in this moment. And as I visualize this in my own mind, I imagine over 160 of us sitting together and preparing for a deep inner experience of oneness and connection. And so I invite you to imagine all the people that you are familiar with in our spiritual community. Each one of us can bring to mind several individuals, and so let's just do that now as we welcome each other, as we remember each other and feel our connection. In the past, in our ways, we would say hello, we would shake hands or welcome a hug. Now in these times, we simply extend ourselves into the felt experience of our connection, of our oneness. Feeling a part of something that is unfolding. Allowing ourselves to be carried into a dimension of being that is not of this world, not limited by the conditions or circumstances of the outer. And so as we begin our meditation in the awareness of our connection, that there are others right now in this moment with us, sharing in this experience, that the reality of this now moment contains each of us connecting now to that deeper dimension of being. And in so doing, we create together an energetic field. This is a non-local field, but one in which we participate in as a collective, as a part of this networking. packing into this moment with our awareness, seeking to fill ourselves with the presence and the experience of knowing our worth, knowing who we've come here to be, knowing that we're the one unto our life. And so in the knowing of this together, in our collective holding the space, the awareness, we allow whatever is necessary and good to rise up, to reveal itself, to find us. And so as we give ourselves to this dimension of being that has as its primary purpose to move us into ever greater expressions of wholeness, of creativity, of the expression of kindness and gratitude and compassion and empathy. All the ways in which we can now regenerate, recharge, reboot, re-engage in this reality of oneness, of connection, of presence. And so let us breathe into this moment, taking it into our very depths of being, releasing ourselves into the flow and the activity of spirit that carries us effortlessly to that which is seeking to be fulfilled because of us. And so as we recognize that each one of us, wherever we are, share in this experience of connection, of love, of wholeness, of abundance. Let us all claim it. Let us claim that which is seeking to find us. Claim our wholeness. Claim our capacity to be the one. Claim that which is seeking to rise up within us as our whole and higher self. And so in this awareness of our connection, of our oneness, of all of us, perhaps 100 or more, in this now moment together. And so let us in this moment of presence and awareness go beyond the words and the ideas and simply settle into the felt experience of oneness, of connection. And so to amplify this experience of oneness and connection, feel yourself connected to all of the people that share in this moment right now. And so if you have a special need, open yourself now to receive it. And let those of us who are overflowing with capacity pour forth into this now moment the awareness that all things are working together for good. And so we invite all who have a need to welcome and receive it now in this consciousness of our oneness and connection together. And for those of us who are living in the greater sense of well-being and abundance, we send forth our care vision and light. And so as we dip our fingers in the awareness of this moment and open ourselves to connecting up to that which lives beyond thought, beyond words, let us simply now rest in the silence, in the awareness of our oneness together. Breathe in and release. Breathe in and release. Let us release ourselves now into the care and keeping of that greater presence. And know that as we open ourselves to the present moment, we are gifted by the presence and the capacity to be the one. And for this we are grateful. So it is. Amen.
I just might. Well, as often happens to me, this entire talk was inspired by something I read last week. In fact, one sentence that I read last week, and that sentence contained the notion that divine ideas stand back of human thought and that they are seeking admittance through the doorway of the mind. And so I was quite captivated by that image of all of these inspiring ideas, milling around just outside of my field of awareness, waiting to gain entry. There's something about that visual that inspires me, that excites me, and it speaks of divine mind and our connection to it. We're all inlets and outlets of the one mind. And the thought of divine ideas being constantly fed to us makes me feel not so alone in the midst of all that is happening in our world right now. And so I decided to explore this idea a little deeper, and I began by considering what was stopping their admittance. And I could just imagine a well-muscled bouncer standing with arms folded at the doorway of my mind, checking for ID. As you can see, I had a little bit of fun with this. And I realized that if I have an unconscious belief that my situation is impossible to change, or that I can't manage what's showing up, or that I don't have what it takes to receive these ideas, that's enough for the bouncer to completely bar the entrance. And right now, so many of us have the chance to open the gate nice and wide, to allow the guidance and the divine ideas and the creativity flow into our lives. And I believe this opportunity is available right now for all of humanity. I can envision this wealth of divine ideas hovering, waiting in the wings, ready to be actualized. And the only thing stopping their demonstration being limited thinking that creates unconscious blocks and barriers. The events of the last couple of months have called on our creativity in ways that are well beyond any we have experienced in recent history. Suddenly being thrust into doing things very differently, having to adapt and learn. Many of us have been surprised to discover a much deeper level of creative expression is emerging for us, and it's been birthed out of necessity, the mother of invention. I have noticed a heightened sense of creativity that is blossoming in my life, and it has really shown up in a big way as Gary and I have moved from an 1,800 square foot 3-bedroom home to a 399 square foot tiny house. Is there a way to have big living in a tiny house? And that has entailed a giant First of all, clearing out of items that were no longer needed or wanted, books and clothing and household items, but it has also taken a great deal of creativity to fit the things in that we want to keep. And what I've noticed is that I will be wondering about how a space could be better used, and the answer won't pop up immediately, but it will eventually show up, and I will see something that was formerly hidden from me. There's a time lag between the question and answer, but the process really works. It really works. And this is a small example of how our creative mind operates, but the point is that the divine ideas are available for us, whether they're in regard to the best way to organize a kitchen cupboard or to help bring world peace. You see, there's nothing too small or too big for spirit. And we are all endowed with this eternal creative principle, and there's no stagnation in the divine. We are naturally creative beings, and so it's the process that I'm going to talk about this morning rather than the goal. Because here's the thing. As more and more of us come into a deeper understanding of our creative power and gain greater skill in utilizing it, just imagine what could be around the corner for us as a human family. And if it works for small things, how can we put it into practice for the big ones? And I sincerely believe that we stand at a pivotal moment in our human history, and that it is truly time for us to rise to a new level of understanding of our inner power, and in so doing, gain access to the deeper wisdom within us. So just think, what divine ideas are eagerly awaiting our discovery? Because what we do with what has shown up for us matters. It matters. Neil Donald Walsh writes, we could decide that this is the last great upheaval that's required for our species to emerge at last from the fog of our non-life-friendly political, economic, social behaviors. We could make that decision. And then he adds, and then to act finally as demonstrations of who we really are, individuations of divinity. Is this the time for us to actualize the vision that we've been holding? Because what I hear from his words is an uplifting, life-affirming message that we have what it takes to transform our lives and our world, and it begins with deciding so. Deciding that now is the time. Seeing that we've been under the mistaken belief that things can't change, or that we don't have the power to make those changes or the ability. And those mistaken beliefs have kept the bouncer at the door. My talk title is From Emergency to Emergence, and it's a title I borrowed from an article I read in Yes Magazine by the ecological and economic activist David Corten. And in it, he basically pointed out how this pandemic has exposed some pretty significant holes in our cultural beliefs. It has also shown us the vulnerabilities in our global economics. And he writes, this is an unprecedented opportunity to rethink how our beliefs, our values, our institutions shape our relationships, and I would add, our world, shape our life. And he ends by saying, we can create a world that works for everyone, or face a future that no longer works for anyone, at the very different choices that we have here. And as we all want to see the end of the coronavirus emergency, many of us are realizing we don't want to go back to life, business as usual. These things that have been exposed are showing up in no uncertain terms for us, that healthcare is needed for all, that the lowest paying jobs that have been deemed essential should have compensation as such, that food should be available for everyone, regardless of their income. And as we peek behind the curtain of our Western lifestyle, we find that what we have deemed to be solid and immovable and secure is actually pretty precarious. In fact, house of cards precarious, that can collapse without our cultural support, without agreement among us in the belief in what Sharif Abdullah calls the consensual lie. And the events of the last 2 months have shown us quite clearly that we have the power to midwife change into evolutionary emergence. And the really exciting thing is that the divine ideas that will lead to that transformation are awaiting our discovery and our use to bring forth something new. And what if, in offering our gifts of creativity, we move into experiencing and expressing a part of ourselves that truly speaks of who we have come here to be? Imagine if from this emergency emerges a greater capacity for transformation that we truly can use to grow, to evolve, to become more. You know, we've been studying and teaching how to transform our lives and our world for decades in New Thought, beyond decades. Change your thinking, change your life. Become that which you seek to see in the world. Feel the way you will feel when it comes to pass. Feel it first. All of these are powerful practices to help midwife the emergence of something new and greater. Maybe it's time for us to step up to the plate and put these principles into practice collectively in a way that we've never done before. Can you feel the power of that? And I'm imagining all of you at home in your bathrobes nodding your head. So the only thing stopping us? The bouncer at the door. So first we need to become aware of the beliefs that keep slamming the gateway shut. Because that gateway is the passageway that leads us to the deeper intelligence within us. And the bouncer seems pretty formidable, but in essence is just as illusory as the limited belief itself. You see it? It's not the truth. Everything already exists in the unmanifest realm as potential, waiting to be revealed. And what causes it to be revealed? Shining the light of awareness through focused thought and feeling. And we know this to be true. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin wrote this: "The universe as we know it is a joint product of the observer and the observed." That's the first time I saw that quote by him. We have the power to change our lives. And imagine that we're all plugged into a divine database, and how we're observing life is affecting all. What we do matters. And if we can think of this time that we're on as part of the heroic journey, you know, that we're all on in our life, the question becomes, where are you in your quest of becoming? Joseph Campbell sheds great light on this journey and the power of the mythological stories, because hidden within them we find symbolic archetypes that provide insight into our own spiritual growth. And in the heroic journey, the hero or the heroine gets a call, usually reluctantly goes out into the world, spends some time in the between time, overcomes something that seems unbeatable, and returns home a changed person. And this hero's journey shows up in many modern day stories. Star Wars, Harry Potter, Wizard of Oz, Lord of the Rings, there's tons of them, with the same message. What appears insurmountable can be overcome. That's the big piece of this. Because Darth Vader, Voldemort, the Wicked Witch of the West, or the Eye of Sauron, they got nothing on this bouncer in our psyche. Nothing. And every one of these tales shows us that appearance is not the final arbiter of what happens. We may believe that this internal adversary is all-powerful, cannot be overcome, but the story tells us otherwise. And the heroes are not big, strong giants. They're hobbits and child wizards and young girls and 4-foot-high humanoid Jedi masters. None of them appear very powerful. And in every case, their power lies in surrendering to something greater within. And of course, we learn this in Bible metaphysics. David overcoming Goliath. It's all about vanquishing our own giants in our psyche. Each one of us has the ability to do so, and to author how this story ends. So just imagine if you have the power to write the end of this chapter of your story. And here's how the collective story is going so far. A mysterious disease begins to move through the world, eventually reaches the shores of our country. Business as usual screeches to a halt. Everyone stays home. The sky's clear, the water becomes cleaner, the noise abates. We all have time to pause. And there's political and social disagreement about what to do about it. This is where our story currently lands. Now, how do you want it to end? You have the power to author your own story. You're authorized to do so, regardless of what the bouncer tells you. If that voice in your head says that you do not have any power or the ability to change anything, then it's time for you to pull out your real ID. See? I read that each of us houses two tenants. Let's call them the greater self and the limited self. When the greater self is ignored, the limited self is left to rule. That's when we run into problems. We struggle. And it may be true that the limited self is not able to get through the door, but hey, good news, that's not who we truly are, see? And the greater self embodies for us a power that is without aggression. It's a transcendent authority that frees us from the illusions of the sensory world. And when we flash that ID, we rejoin reality with a capital R, the reality of interbeing, of oneness, of interconnection, of our true wholeness. As the Sufi poet Hazrat Inayat Khan says, once you've given up your limited self willingly to the unlimited, you will rejoice so much in that consciousness that you will not care to be small again. Just catching a glimpse of the power of the greater self within us is enough to set us free from the struggle. Otherwise, we're simply at the mercy of the illusory world of separation. And as the Course in Miracles so wisely says it, truth never battles with illusions. Illusions battle only with themselves. The greater self takes us to a higher perspective, 20/20 vision. We go beyond the limited illusions. Khalil Gibran writes this, in your longing for your giant self lies your goodness. Take that in. And he adds that longing's in all of us. In our great desire to evolve, to become more, to be who we've come here to be, that's our true power. Now, we often take that longing and misinterpret it as, wanting to eat the whole bag of popcorn, for instance. I'm well familiar with that one. Or indulging in some other addictive behavior. And when we get caught in that addictive, behavior, we are imprisoned in the limited self. As James Baldwin describes it, the entire universe having shrunk to the prison of the self, small s. But if we stay with that desire to become more, if we let it open us up to who we really are, the bouncer at the door fades away into nothingness, and as we excavate disempowering beliefs, the jailer no longer guards the prison door. And as those doors open up, guess what? Divine ideas that are congregating around you now have a chance to land. This is not woo-woo. This is truth. I've taken many writing courses and read numerous books on how to write. By far, the most impactful teaching for me has been the idea that the book already exists in potential and wants to be written. And when I get into that state of willingness and into my don't know mind and allow the divine ideas to flow through me, I now become the conduit for its manifestation. And I notice a huge difference between knowing what I want to write and trying to make it work, as opposed to opening up and allowing the greater self to take over the scribing. There's a much different quality to that writing. And I believe it's the same thing, whatever our creative expression may be, whether it's writing, painting, organizing a closet, raising a child, building an airplane, whatever we are engaged in, we're all creative beings, and our creativity is so needed right now. So, how do we want this particular chapter of the story to unfold? I remember reading words attributed to Mother Teresa. I'm a little pencil in the writing hand of God who's sending a love letter to the world. All of us can be that, you see. We're part of an extraordinary unfolding. And where is it going to go next? It all depends on what we choose to write. All of us. It's our story being played out right now. This time of uncertainty we find ourselves in, it's known as liminal space, aka hell in the hallway. One door is closed, the other has yet to open, and we're in a waiting room, so to speak, or an abyss, whatever we want to call it. This holding pattern can be used as a deconstruction of what was in order to be reborn into a new paradigm of what is emerging. Do you see it? This space is rich with transformative potential. But when we're in it, not so easy. It can amplify our suffering, but it can also become a launching pad for our freedom from that suffering. And it all depends on how we choose to live it and how we deal with the bouncer guarding the door to our freedom. The bouncer's not the enemy. It's there to protect us, keep us safe. The problem is that it believes we are the limited, separate self that needs protecting. So, how do we show our real ID to gain entrance? Well, as it turns out, we have within us all we need to rise up into our true self because it's our real identity. The divine blueprint at the center of our being is the real self, and it is our divine inheritance to connect with that, to boldly claim it, and to express it into manifestation. And it happens through the power of divine love. Divine love, compassion, appreciation. These are qualities of being that are in alignment with the greater self. And when we consciously choose to be the embodiment of these qualities, we step into the reality of interbeing, of interconnectedness, of mutuality, of the oneness, the one mind of which we are all a part. Do not underestimate the clout of divine love. It's our superpower. It truly is. Being who we've come here to be is our ticket to freedom. As the Jamaican spiritual teacher Muji writes, I love Muji, the greatest healing would be to wake up from what we are not. The greatest healing is to awaken to our true nature. Do you feel that? And we have the opportunity to use this time to become increasingly conscious of and aware of our greater self. So, this week, if you're suffering, know that you're not alone. Even if it feels like you are, remember that you're connected to a deeper source. I want to invite all of us to remember this. Remember that you are an inlet and an outlet of divine mind, inlet and an outlet. And because of that, all around you are divine ideas clamoring for your attention. All you have to do is to rise up to their vibrational signature and they will reveal themselves. So here's a formula that has worked for me. First is spend time in the silence every single day, activating a feeling of appreciation. Now, in order to do that, think of someone you deeply love and let that feeling grow. All I have to do is think about any of my grandchildren and my heart immediately explodes in gratitude. Who would that be for you? Make a list. And it could be also a beloved pet or a cherished memory. Use something or someone that when you think about them, it activates the feeling of appreciation. Think of it as a gratitude intervention that you're doing. Then the next one is nurture that feeling. Let it grow, let it expand, let it fill your body, fill your mind with this healing vibration. Research has shown that practicing this causes a shift in our energetic field to one of coherence, harmony, peace. Just imagine that the word gratitude can be used as both a noun and a verb. And we're going to gratitude ourselves into a place of peace. Then practice sustaining that feeling until you can do it for several minutes. The more you practice, the more you accumulate coherence. It's like a bank account. It has a cumulative effect. And then what happens is that your baseline internal state becomes naturally more coherent. You start there. Then in this state, this coherent state, you are showing your real ID as you are moving into alignment with the vibrational signature of the greater self. And from that place, ask your heart for guidance. Trust that it's coming forth. Remember that divine ideas are swirling around you. Watch for direction as it appears in your widened viewpoint, that 20/20 vision. Sometimes someone will say something to me and it will spark an answer. Often I'll read something that lands for me. Other times, out of the blue, I'll get an idea. Trust this. All of us are equipped with the ability to mine the field of infinite possibilities. We all have a heart. Good news, you see, and we can use it. We can utilize it to grow into who we have come here to be. And as we move from emergency to emergence, no bouncer will ever stop us from entering that field when we are being the greater self. And so it is. And so it is.
All right, way to go. So please have a seat. Let's talk about this.
Yes, I will.
So what I found that was really a pivotal moment in the talk was when you posed the. It's almost like this pandemic has allowed us to see a crossroads. If we go this way, we have the opportunity to create together a world that works for everyone. But if we go this way, we'll end up creating a world that doesn't work for anybody. And I'm wondering if the kind of anxiety that people are experiencing that wants to retreat back to the way it was, back to normal, is really kind of moving us back towards the way the world has been, which it hasn't been working for everyone. It's been working for a very small select group of people in the world. And so just as you say, the pandemic has exposed all the places in our social system, in the institutions of the world where it's not serving everybody. And certainly there is not the intent that the world works for everybody. And for us to kind of just allow it to kind of slip back down. It reminded me of when I lost a lot of weight. Remember when I lost I lost a big hunk of weight, but then because I had a different body, my body was wanting me to eat differently, but eventually my mind, my habits of being kind of, caused my body to succumb back to the old habits of eating and of being, and so I gained all that weight back. And I'm concerned that this is going to be replicated if we just kind of try to return to normal without really taking stock.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason that people are starting to rise up and insist that life get back to normal is the discomfort of being in liminal space. That when we're in that abyss, it can cause us to actually, freak out about something. Because it's a scary place to be. It's uncomfortable. It's not what we want. It's not what we're used to. And if we can't be with that feeling of discomfort and allowing it, we can, project out or lash out or, cause our behavior to really shift into that kind of thing. And so that's why compassion is so important here, is to see that all of us are struggling with this. Some of us are choosing different ways to express that. And so I believe that we as a collective, when we have this understanding of how we can create our world, that it's time for us to come together and say, okay, what do we want to create? What do we want to create? And let those divine ideas lead us.
Right, and that's what it means to be who we've come here to be.
Exactly.
Because if we don't change our behavior, if we don't be with the moment that causes us to feel diminished or less than, if we don't be with that very same situation out of a different dimension of ourself, being who we are coming to be insofar as the difference that we're seeking to make, we still have to create choice points. We still have to actually be in the moment in a different way than we've been there before. And so that's the work in progress.
It seems to be.
All right, so we're going to move now into our offertory, and I invite everybody to join us in this experience. We want to remind everybody that we have a donate button on our website if you're not already involved in our automatic giving program. So we'll speak the affirmation together, and then we'll just release it into the care and keeping of spirit. So together. I know that my giving blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give and receive. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. All right. Okay, so we want to remind everybody that we'll have our Zoom meet and greet following our service, and we'll get to that. But first, we're going to be sung out with another song from Sean and Tani, and then we'll see you on the Zoom side.
Yes. Right. You want me to take, oh, you're going to bring that when you come.
You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love, God, sacred love is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Such a holy place. You are blessed peace, blessed peace is all that you are. You are blessed peace, child, blessed peace is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Such a holy place. You are deepest joy, deepest joy is all that you are. You are deepest joy, deepest joy is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Show the way, God, show the ways. I want to live in such a state, in a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the ways. I want to live in such a holy place. Show the way, I want to live in such a state of grace. I want to live in such a holy place, in such a holy place. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love, God, sacred love is all that you are. Sacred love is all that you are. Sacred love is all that